What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Mind of Marsal podcast. This is episode number 117. I am your host, Armando Marsal. You can find all of my work at fantasyguru.com. Follow me on the Twitter machine at Armando_Marsal, as well as on Instagram threads and TikTok at Mind of Marsal. Before I jump into it, I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you all. Remember, folks, if you're enjoying the podcast, enjoying the content, please make sure you follow, rate, review, like the podcast, wherever it is you're consuming it. Anything you want me to talk about here, make sure you email that to mindofmarsal@gmail.com. And remember, folks, you can now find this podcast on YouTube there on my channel at Mind of Marsal. It is Friday, so you know exactly what time of the week it is. It's that time where I bring my guy, Chris Rose, and we break down the entire weekend here. Chris, how's it going, brother?
What's up, man? Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm pumped. We had a nice little Thursday night football game. It was a little bit more competitive than I thought it was going to be. We went 2 for 1 there in the player props that we posted there in Discord yesterday. So that was myself. I mean, Jeff had a bunch of bets as well. Tyler had a bunch of bets that hit there as well. So overall, good night if you were in that betting Discord yesterday. But I thought it was a fun game. It was enjoyable to watch. What were your thoughts of this Thursday night game?
Yeah, I was surprised Miami stayed in, and I think they were 12-point dogs. I think it opened at 10.5, and I think Miami's getting close. 0-3 is not a great start, but hanging in it with against a team that's much better. It's been playing better. I think it's just a matter of time they turn it around. I think that they got to get the running game going, and there's just there's something missing offensively, and I don't know how long McDaniel's going to be there, but there were some positives on the Dolphins side last night.
What's missing is a quarterback. That's what's missing, dude. Like I listen, I haven't like I'll be honest, I have not been a Tua guy since he entered the league. Like I've said it since day one. I just didn't think he was the answer for Miami. And at times he does show some glimpse, right? Like at times he makes a couple plays. You're like, damn, okay, but look, with the game on the line, like that was just a throw you don't make. I'm sorry, and I'm not an NFL quarterback. I could sit here on my chair and say what I want for sure, and you could say that, but I think if you watch this game, like he before that play started, he said, "This is where I'm going with the football, no matter what." And he did not care what the defense gave. Like that was the plan. The plan is you're going to it was Jalen Waddle, if I'm not mistaken. You're going to Waddle and you're going to throw. Dude, there was no he was not open. Like he was not open. And I think that's really the problem. And I think that they just don't have. I mean, what more do you want? You have Hill, one of the fastest, if not the fastest receiver in football. Waddle, another, fast guy. Achan, yeah, the offensive line is not great, but you know what? The offensive line hasn't been great for some of these quarterbacks that have made it far. Um, I think I just think that I look, they have looked better, right? Each and every week they have looked better. I will say that. Like they would look like shit in week one. They played a little bit better, showed some signs of life, at some points of week two. They held their own here. I do think Buffalo didn't play their greatest game either, but they did hold their own. Defensively, they looked much better as well. But I'm not sure if I'm not sure if there's a foundation here to build off of in Miami. And I don't want to say it's a rebuild situation, but man, it kind of feels like it is.
Feels like it, yeah.
Right? It feels like it is because I don't know how much this team is buying into McDaniel, man. So um those are my takeaways really. Like I thought it was a fun game to watch. And I that's basically my biggest takeaway from there. Like I just don't know if Miami's going to be able to turn it around. And Buffalo, the fact that they just win when they don't play their best football, that to me screams of a dangerous team. Like they haven't played their best football, right? Like every game this season, and they're 3-0. Like this is a team this is a really good fucking football team, man. Chris, you and I, we always talk, the week we look at the Sunday slate for DFS. We look at matchups. We're gonna do that here today. You and I go position by position. Later in the podcast, you and I are also gonna give our survivor pool pick that we like the most this week. I know a lot of people were probably on Buffalo, so if you weren't on Buffalo and you faded the chalk, we'll give you some options here to consider. And then we always have a bet of the week. So far, 1-1 this season for bets on the podcast there. So we'll give you a bet at the end of that podcast of this show as well here. So Chris, let's dive right into this slate. And you and I spoke a little bit before the show. Both of our kids have sports this weekend. We talked about that. We also talked about looking at the slate, and it's not the most appealing slate on so far this season. I'm sure we're going to encounter this throughout the season. Like there's usually fun slates, good slates, and then slates like this where we're going to start at the quarterback position, a position I think it's very eh, to this week. I saw your quarterback article. I read it earlier in the week that you have there on fantasyguru.com, and I kind of feel like based on your options, based on the players you wrote up, you feel the same way about the position, Chris, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one that really stands out to me as like a top best like player on the position. So I think for me, it's going to be whoever just like falls in to my lineups at this point.
Yeah, you have so at the top, very top, you have Jaden Daniels, who I'm not anticipating he's going to play.
I don't think he
I know,
plays.
I know that they haven't officially ruled him out. He didn't practice this week. He's there. They reported that he's not going to practice Friday. For me, that's just an indication that he's not going to give it a go. And then if he doesn't give it a go, it's Marcus Mariota under center there for Washington. Then you got Jalen Hurts at home against the Rams. I don't feel great about playing Hurts this week. I know he has that rushing upside. I get that. I'm just not crazy about this matchup. I respect the Rams defense here a little bit. And then very next guys, you got Mayfield at 6,600, and he's playing the Jets. I don't know if he's someone you're interested, but there's those are the four or three quarterbacks because Joe Burrow is the other one that's on the thing, but we all know he's out. Those are the three quarterbacks at 6,500 or above this week on DraftKings. Any interest there, Chris?
I don't really have much from any of the high price guys. Um, for me, I'm probably going to go 5,600 or less this week. From There's just not in great positions. Baker against the Jets, I don't love that matchup. Jalen Hurts, I just don't play all that often. I just think his upside is limited with Saquon there. And then I think the only guy you can really make a case for is maybe Kyler Murray against San Francisco in a game where you got Mac Jones on the other side who I expect to play. So, I mean, it's not a ton that I love from these high price guys.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Chris. I kind of feel the same way this week. When you look at this, look, you could make a case, and I said this about another quarterback last week, and he went off. You could make a strong case for Baker Mayfield because number one, he's reasonably priced. He's not expensive. Number two, he's gotten it done against Houston. He's gotten it done, against the Falcons, two defenses that are pretty good, right? They have played good defenses start the year. Um, so he can get it done here. And, the Jets, yeah, they're a good defense, but they allowed a shitload of points in week one. They got shredded last week by Buffalo. So this is not a, matchup that you're going to say, well, he can't produce. I think he can produce, but he's more of a GPP play for me and not someone I'm overly interested. Where I really start my process this week and not my process or where I start my guys this week. I like Dak Prescott a lot, 5,900. Like he really pops for me. You look at he's on look, so I get it, he's on the road at Chicago, but Chicago's dealing with injuries to that secondary, right? Like they have some issues there in that secondary right now. I like the way Prescott has played, and I get it. Look, he's not going to give you 50, he's not going to pass 52 times every single game. But this is a game where I think I think the Bears are going to score some points. I think Prescott's going to have to put up some points, and the Cowboys are going to have to put. So I like this matchup for Prescott. He's not a core play. He's not a super strong play, but I feel like at sub 6K, he gives you some pretty nice upside here, Chris. Any thoughts on him, and then anyone else in that range are you really looking at?
So I get the Prescott play. I actually like the other side of that game a little bit more. Just glancing over my article again, the guys that kind of stand out to me, number one being Caleb Williams. I like the other side of the game. I mentioned this in the live stream, and I said my sneaky low owned play is Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze. And they went off for two touchdowns last week. I think it's in play again. I think Dunze will end up getting kind of the mismatches again with I said that DJ Moore is going to be that stretch the field guy. I think they're going to continue to use Roma Dunze as like that mismatch underneath. And we saw the first touchdown of the game, 5 yard under route, wide open in the end zone touchdown. So I do like Caleb Williams a lot at 5,600. pairing up with Rome Odunze. It's a cheap little stack there. Again, I don't love anybody until we go down to like 5K maybe. I like the 5,300 Drake May and what may be a little bit of a difficult matchup, but I think the running ability that we saw in week 2 where he scored on with his legs, I love that play. And then the two guys that are kind of the value options that I are going to end up probably rostering the most. This one being Mac Jones at 5K against Arizona. We saw how good he was, efficient last week. And the guy that has the best weapons around him and a great matchup, Carson Wentz at 4K. It is hard, very hard for me to ignore Carson Wentz at this spot. As a Vikings fan, as much as it's difficult to say this, I think putting Carson Wentz at the quarterback position is an upgrade to this offense until JJ can figure out how to be efficient stretching the ball down the field. So Carson Wentz, we can fill in, he can stretch the field. He has the weapons. I'm not worried about it. Jordan Mason, who I think is a better running back than Aaron Jones. They brought Cam Akers back. Carson Wentz at 4K on a slate where there's no quarterbacks that stand out just makes sense to me.
According to the Eagles fan, that his name is not Carson Wentz. It's a Ginger Jesus. All right, I'm rolling with it this weekend. I like that call, dude. Like, I mean, you're getting a min price. Look, it's risky business, right? Like, because we haven't seen him play like you see him play at the end of seasons, like week 18, or you see him play in the preseason. So but dude, 4K. I agree with you 100%. I think he's firmly in play here. I like it. We've talked about picking on the Bengals defense, right? Like that's something that we've discussed over and over and over again. And I have podcast notes right in front of me, and I have him, I have Justin Jefferson, I have Jordan Mason, and my tight end play this week is I'm literally going to TJ Hawkins. Like I'm saying it before we get to the tight end position. Um, so I like that call quite a bit here. I'm with you on Mac Jones as well. We talked about him last week. Remember where we said like we don't need to play him, but you can't ignore a 4K quarterback in a Kyle Shanahan system. You just can't. He's no longer 4K, but he's still what 5K against Arizona. I'm in as well there. I like that call quite a bit. Drake May is someone that we talked about last week. I liked him. I'm going to continue playing him, man. I think he gives you a pretty safe floor. I think he remains vastly underpriced. I am not enamored with this matchup against the Steelers. I understand fully that the Steelers haven't played their best defense, but I am not a moron. I know that they have good defensive pieces there, and I know they have a good unit. I don't think this is a defense we're going to be picking on regularly. But I think May gives you a pretty steady floor, right? Because of the rushing upside. I think when you look at the price tag, you can make a strong case for him because of that. So for me, I'm going to continue to roll with him. Like he's returned value each and every time, like this season for us, right? And I don't think that stops this week. So I'm big on him. He actually pops the highest on my model this week. Like he's the one that pops the best. Like he gets the best ratings for the quarterback position there. Daniel Jones, like it's been an incredible season, dude. Like it's like, are you buying this? Is this staying? Is this for real, or you think it's he's gonna cool down eventually? And any thoughts on him this weekend there against the Titans?
I mean, I think it's the real deal, to be honest with you. He's put in a good position with a good running game, with good weapons around him, very good rookie tight end. He has a 111.1 QBR over the first 2 games, 45 of 63. He's not asked to put the team on his shoulders. I think that's the biggest thing is when he was in New York, he was asked to put that entire team on his shoulders. It's almost like a weight being lifted off as a quarterback is where I can go out and play my game. And if I throw a pick, it's fine. If I fumble, it's fine. We're not going to lose the game because I have these other guys that we can depend on. So I think for the biggest thing mentally, I think Daniel Jones is the real deal. I mean, he's shown in the first 2 games 316 yards passing last week with that rushing touchdown, and then 272 the week before. He's just been efficient. I mean, completing smart plays down the field, finding the open receivers, and like I said, he just has a ton of weapons around him that just make him so much better. He's not a bad quarterback. He was just in a bad situation in New York. So, yeah, at 5,400, he's another play that is definitely there.
And I feel like no one like is buying into it because he's just coming in low ownership every week, right? And I'm looking at projections right now, and once again, he's sub 10% like projected ownership. So like you're talking about another week of not many people are interested in, and I get it to a certain extent, right? But I'm with you 100%. I think this is here to stay. And is he going to be like producing elite numbers all season long? Probably not, but I think that the production and effectiveness is here to stay. Shane Steichen has done a phenomenal job with him, I think, in my opinion. And like you said, I don't think he's had a supporting cast this complete his entire career when you're looking at, pass catchers, a run game, and an offensive line all put together in one. And what a quarterback can do when he has all of those pieces together, it's incredible there. So I'm with you, man. I like him there. Anyone else here at the quarterback position that we haven't discussed that you maybe want to talk about here?
No, I think we touched on anyone. Again, I think it's more so just kind of how much salary do you have left over to put in your skill guys, and then just kind of throwing in quarterback.
I will say this. I think it's one of those weeks where you don't really have to like 100% nail the quarterback position. I think that there's going to be like the ownership is going to be spread, and I think you're going to see like a lot of these, cheaper quarterbacks reach value and maybe exceed expectations by a bit. So, we'll say that. Um, Running back position. So this week I did the running back coach there at fantasyguru.com. I covered for the great Ted Schuster there, and what I found was there are several high priced players at this position that are in smash spots. And I mean smash spots. And I said before, like if I could play five running backs this week, if the sites allowed me to play five running backs this week, that make me a very happy person. Um, Chris, how do you feel about the running back position this week?
I am 100% in on Bijan Robinson this week. Just absolutely gashed Minnesota. Just he was phenomenal. But both in the run game and the pass game. Great matchup here against Carolina. He is 100% my top play. You go back to like last year in the two games that he played. In week 18, 28 carries, 170 yards, two touchdowns, five targets through the air. Week six, 15 carries, 95 yards, two scores, four targets through the air. You got to think this is just going to be an absolute disaster for Carolina trying to stop him.
Yeah, it's I mean, and he's and he's under 8K. Like I looked at it,
Yeah.
I was like, come on, really, Sides? Like you're begging me to play him, aren't you? Yeah, you mentioned he's just playing great. Panthers are already through two games, over 110 rushing yards per game, 5.7 yards per carry to the running back position. This isn't just this season. You go back to last year, and they were dead last in rush DVOA. All right, they gave up a league high 2,520 rushing yards last year to the running back position. This is not surprising. This is here to stay. Bijan Robinson is just going to run wild. He's seeing all of the opportunities here for the Falcons, and I think he's just going to annihilate this defense, man. Like I one of those situations where I think if he's over 100 yards by halftime, I wouldn't be surprised. Like that kind of game that I think we could see here for Bijan Robinson. So I'm fully in on him. I look at him as last week's Christian McCaffrey, where you saw it, you knew that that was your building block. You don't care about the chalk, and you're eating it here. Speaking of Christian McCaffrey, he 20 opportunities last weekend. We talked about him being a basically a volume hog here. That's not going to change. His price is over 8K, but I still think it's I think it's reasonable for his production and for his role. So I think he's firmly in play again this week. I obviously prefer Bijan, but man, like playing both of them this week is not a bad idea, especially when you have so much value at quarterback here. Chris, any thoughts on McCaffrey here going up against the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, 8,200. I still think it's a fair price. Just not doing a lot with the opportunities. Only 69 rushing yards last week, 10 targets. Then week one, week two, only 55 rushing yards. He was targeted a lot in the passing game because they were down, trying to get back, and they got up. So yeah, 8,200. I would almost rather go down 1,000 and go another guy that I like. But the opportunities are there. He just has to get in the end zone. I think that's the biggest thing. Only one touchdown so far this year. If he can get those opportunities inside the red zone instead of them passing inside the 5, 10 yard line, then I'll be more into it. But I do think that if I'm playing three lineups, I'd probably have him in one of three. I just like a guy that's $1,000 less. That's been phenomenal.
Well, I love that guy too, and I'm glad you said that. This is what I'm trying to do. If we're being 100% honest, I'm trying to fit all three of them in the lineup. Like I am
Yeah.
working my way to get all three of them in the lineup. Um, before we jump to that guy, because that guy's next on my list here. But before we jump, I just want to point this out. So I went back to 2022, and McCaffrey has played five games against the Cardinals since then. I know he's missed time or whatnot. So I went back to the last 5 games. He has 9 touchdowns, dude, in those 5 games. 9 fucking touchdowns. And the Cardinals have done a solid job against the run so far this season, but they have allowed a touchdown, not a rushing. They have allowed a touchdown to each of the running backs they face. Kamara and Hubbard both scored touchdowns. Again, interesting for me there. Maybe you want to bet that Christian McCaffrey touchdown prop instead of rostering him in DFS, but I do think that McCaffrey is going to have a successful day here. You were alluding to it, and for me, I view like I my building block is Bijan, and this next thing I'm going to talk about. Like I'm building around them too, and Jonathan Taylor for me is just in a smash spot. Like he is coming off a phenomenal game against a very tough defense, and listen, the last time he played this team, he rushed for 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. In fact, and I'm not. This is not going to be the bet I give, but I'm gonna do this weekend. A multi touchdown. You're getting a plus money, obviously, for Jonathan Taylor game. Like I think it's very feasible. I absolutely love him this week. He's 7,200. I think he's underpriced. I think it's only a matter of time. And I put this in the article where he's in that Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson price range and Barkley price range. I really do think we're going to see Taylor there eventually. And he's due for some positive regression in the touchdown department. He leads the NFL in red zone rush attempts right now through 2 weeks. He has 11 red zone rush attempts. He leads the NFL in this department. He's been, obviously Daniel Jones has taken a lot of those touchdowns away from him. But I do think that there's positive regression coming for Taylor, and I think it's this week. 7,200, absolutely love it. We're talking about volume here. We're talking about a team that, it's going to be a competitive game environment, a team that's been playing with a lead. They're going to lean on Taylor here no matter what. Talk to me about him because I'm with you 100%, dude. I'm all in on Taylor this weekend.
Yeah, the thing about Tennessee is they're ranked 31st in the league over the last 9 games, dating back to last year, giving up over 134 rushing yards per game. So smash spot here for Taylor. I just like the price tag. You tell me you're going to give me a guy that had 25 rushes last week, 21 touches in week one. How I'm not going to play him at 7,200 in a great spot on the road where they're a favorite. If you look at what he's done over the last 7 games with the Colts as a favorite, averaging almost 26 fantasy points per game, averaging 20, almost 24 over the last 2 seasons against Tennessee. So I do like this spot for Jonathan Taylor. A core play for me. Freaking love it. Him and Bijan, just a great combo together. There is one other guy that I like cheaper as well as that third running back, which this is going to be a 3 running back week for me as well. But yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's in a smash, but I think he gets in the box twice.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I know who you're talking about. That's why it's difficult. This is why I want to play 5 running backs, right? This is exactly why I want to play 5 running backs because I feel like it's going to be tough to fade this guy, but we'll get there. All right, let's look at other 65 and above running backs. We got James Conner, Ashton Genty, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs, and Barkley are the other guys we haven't talked about. For me, look, I wrote up Bucky Irving as a GPP play, right? Like I think that he's going to be lower owned. I think he's okay at this price point. I'm not going there myself. For me, if it was up to me, I would have written 5 running backs only, but I added a couple other guys who are going to be lower owned. Any thoughts on Bucky Irving there, um, this weekend?
Uh, Tough matchup. I don't think I'll get there. I just don't have him at all. Really, my player pool. Yeah, the problem is I like him more if he's going to be involved more in the passing game. I know he had
Yeah.
17 carries last week. I just don't think this is a game where the Tampa Bay is going to get down. I think they're going to get up quick, especially if Tyrod Taylor is behind center for the Jets. So I think this is a game where Tampa comes out, dominates the game early, and we could see guys like Rashad White getting more carries. And I think Tucker's still there, so I think Sean Tucker could get some carries. I think it's gonna be a blowout here.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where GPP for me. Any of those other guys though, like Jacobs at Cleveland, I know we've talked about the Chase Brown like volume, but I this is a really tough matchup. And now without Burrow there, I feel like you can stack eight in the box. Like I think that's you're gonna see a lot of stacked boxes. I just don't know how this is gonna fare for Chase Brown here. So I'm kind of out there. Um Genti just not hasn't gotten going here. Don't love the matchup. Like I can't really make strong cases for some of these guys here. Where are you at with these guys?
So the only guy that I could see myself rostering is Chase Brown, just because you guys know my love for Chase Brown, especially in the passing game. If Minnesota does get up here, I do see Chase Brown being more involved. Now with Browning behind center, Chase Brown was targeted quite often um, in the starts that Browning did make. So I do think that there is a slight bump in the passing game where Browning's gonna may have to check it down, especially if Minnesota's bringing pressure. I saw Grenard's had a full practice. I'm pretty sure Van Ginkel will be back this week dealing with that concussion. You saw Dallas Turner with a sack and a couple pressures. So I do think they're going to bring some pressure off the edge, which means game theory wise, Brown should be involved heavily as checkdown. So at 6,900, I hate the price tag just because he's gone up so much. That would be my only setback on him.
Yeah, look, I like the check down call, right? Because I think if they're facing pressure, that's going to be their outlet there. And we know he's a capable pass catcher. And this is one of those situations where you continue to chase that volume because eventually it's going to turn into production.
Yeah.
Um, and there you go. Where I like my brother, like if you're not, so I'm going up. I'm paying up at the position. I'm full disclosure, transparency. But this is I feel like there's a lot of nice options here at that 64 to 5,500 range. I feel like there's several good options here. Um, Look, I get it, and this is I'm kind of gonna go with you on the volume and not the production last week and this Brees Hall. Like I'm still there. Like for me, when I see a running back that's so talented, like I know the production's not there, but I see Hall. I look at Brees Hall and I look at elite running back, right? Like I'm looking at that elite tier, like that's the skill set he possesses. He's an every down back, like incredible running back in my opinion, and he's 6K. I This is a Bucks defense. You mentioned that. I do think the Jets are going to be playing from behind here. But this is a Bucks defense that they allow a lot of passing production. Like they're the bend but don't break defense, right? When you look at the running back position, well, they're going to give you the screens, they're going to give you the outside runs, they're going to give you that. They're just not going to give you the huge plays, right? They're going to give you the little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of success with Brees Hall this weekend with those kind of plays. At 6K, I think he's a smash button in GPP. If you're fading some of this chalk, I just like him here a lot. I know he's coming off a bad game. I understand Justin Fields is out. Maybe that helps him, especially when they get into the red zone and there's going to be more touchdown opportunities there. Um, I'm interested, man. I think he's a very, very good GPP option. Is he someone I am fully trusting in this weekend? No, this is why I'm only recommending in GPP because I do think that there is a volatile floor this weekend and whatnot. But any thoughts there, Chris, on Brees Hall?
Yeah, so I think if we think he's going to be involved in the pass game, that would be my only reason to be on him here. If you look at what the Bucks have done against running backs this year, they're only allowing 18 attempts, 52 yards on the ground. So they've been really stout against the run, dating back to last year, the last two games of last year and two this year. They're only giving up 50.5 rushing yards and under 20 fantasy points per game to entire running backs. Um, I do see this game being very similar to the blowout that they had last week, where he only had 13 opportunities, 10 on the ground, three targets. That's going to take me off him. I'm probably not going to get there just because I do think that they're going to bottle them up where it's going to be an issue with them trying to move the ball.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most appealing matchup either, right? Like it's 100% not. You mentioned it. Like the Bucks have done a really good job at stopping and stuffing the run there. Any running backs in this range that you're looking at between that 55 and 6K or 6,500 range? Sorry.
Um, maybe Travis Etienne here, who's been phenomenal. I mean, I don't know. This is the Travis Etienne we expect out of Clemson. We haven't seen this in probably 2 years. But he had 17 opportunities, 14 on the ground, three through the air in week two. Again, 19 in week one. I do think this is a game where um, he should have a lot of opportunities. If you look back in week 13 of last year, 16 opportunities. If you go to week four, 13 opportunities. So the double digit opportunities there for him. 5,900. I don't love the price tag again. I think he's a little inflated from what he's done. I'd like to see him get in the end zone here. He would be a guy that I kind of like. And then on one other guy in the AFC South, Tony Pollard, who another guy that has a ton of opportunities, 20 touches last week. Again, volume based, 5,700. Guy that I could possibly get behind. Um, he hasn't played great against Indy. The one game they did have in week six, he did 17 carries, 93 yards, and a score. So I kind of like him a little bit at that 5,700 price range.
Yeah, I think he's a good volume based option there. I'm interested in him as well. He missed a cut by very little for me. Because there's someone that I feel should be a staple of your cash game lineup that we haven't even discussed yet this week. I wish we had like the playbook for the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. Like I wish I had that handy, bro, because I want to pick on New Orleans. Like I truly do. But fuck, man, it is so difficult to trust this backfield. Week one, we saw Charbonnet was the one that popped off. Week two, we saw Ken Walker. You text me, Kenneth Walker, huh? Like I was like, yeah, fucking Kenneth Walker, dude. Um, Look, if you really want to be like taking massive risks this weekend, I think it could pay off. Here I'm looking to see. I think what so in the afternoon only slate, right? I always talk about these slates. I like the idea of like smashing the button on Ken Walker, right? Because I do think like first of all, Bijan is not on that slate. Neither is Jonathan Taylor. So like the options are different. But I do think one of these Seattle Seahawks running backs could pop off here. I liked what I saw from Ken Walker last week. Now, make no mistake about it. He's still playing fewer snaps than Charbonnet. He's still, and Charbonnet, I think, had one more opportunity than Walker did last week. So Walker did more with his opportunities than Charbonnet. So this is still a committee. But man, this is a really slam dunk matchup. And in the full slate, I understand if you don't want to take that kind of risk with all of these running backs. But man, I do like the matchup here. I am interested here. And then we talked about volume, and another guy I like in that it's in a game you like. It's DeAndre Swift, man. He's just continuing to see the volume. 15 opportunities last weekend in a what was a really lopsided game. Like this team hasn't like it was a lopsided game. They were playing from behind the entire time. Against the Vikings, they never played with a comfortable lead. Like, and he had what 22 opportunities. So like you're talking about 22, 50 opportunities at 5,600 against Dallas. That they just Cam Scatterboo ran pretty efficiently against them. Like I like DeAndre Swift a little bit here this week as well, and I think he's a good way because I'm seeing Caleb Williams as a popular play. This week he's grading out like maybe the most popular quarterback this weekend. So like I feel like inserting someone like DeAndre Swift, who has what 8 targets through the first two games in that stack, is a way to go and way to get contrarian there, Chris. Any thoughts about him before I give you the floor and you can let us know why your guy is the way to go later?
Yeah, he's just questionable right now. I know he has that, whatever, I think a thigh issue, whatever it may be, or quad. Thought about you when he got in the end zone last week when he scored that rush touchdown. I almost texted you because that was your guy that you called on Sunday. So
Yeah.
great call on that one. 5,600. Don't know if I'll get there just because of the guy that's $200 cheaper. But yeah, we saw the run game for the Giants establish itself and do well. So I do think Swift is an interesting play. Just don't think I'll get there. I don't really play Swift all that much.
All right, let's talk about this guy that you and I mean, and I put this like, this is why I'm playing three running backs 100% because I feel like it's tough to fade this guy this week. It really is. I mean, go ahead. You say it. This is your team. It's not my team. It's your team. Go ahead and talk about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jordan Mason, it has to be a staple both in cash games and GPPs. With Minnesota losing Aaron Jones to the IL or IR, whatever you want to call it, with that hamstring issue, we knew he was going to go down. He has hamstring issues every single year. They just brought in Cam Akers. It's going to be Jordan Mason's backfield. I would not be surprised to see him get 22, 25 touches this week. He is a bell cow running back. He's been the better of the two running backs, just the way that he's been running. Kevin O'Connell even said that he's been the better of the two. He's been a great runner. And if you look what Cincinnati's done against running backs this year, yeah, they're only giving up 83 yards, but they're also giving up 29.4 fantasy points per game to the running back position. That's 31st in the league. So 6.5 receptions per game, 55 and a half receiving yards per game. So, but for some reason that Minnesota gets down in this game, it's going to be Mason out of the backfield that's going to get a lot of the play calling. Again, Cam Akers just brought up this week. I know he's been with Minnesota over the last 2 seasons, but how much run is he really going to get? This is probably going to be an 85-15 split in this secondary. Ty Chandler's out still. Ty Chandler's on the IL or IR. So the backfield here for Minnesota is depleted, and I think Jordan Mason is going to get every single opportunity. If he doesn't play literally 85-90% of the snaps, I will be surprised. He also has 3 red zone touches as well, which is big for a backup running back. So he's already getting the red zone work. He's already getting he's already the better runner. 5,400. Combining him with Wentz, Justin Jefferson, and himself, that is the cheapest stack. I think Jefferson's only like 7,200 or something like that. What is his price tag? 7,500. So you got 3 guys under $20,000 in salary. I don't know how you don't have that as a core staple right there.
I mean, listen, I echo everything you said. Um, I've been saying this since I saw him run against the Bears, and I'm like, he is their best running back and running the football, and I don't think it's close. And I like Aaron Jones. He, if I mean, I wrote this in the article. Like he's been so good against after like yards after contact. Like he's been so good at going through that first defender, like explosive. He's running with power. It's a beauty. Like watching him run is it's a thing of beauty, man. Like I've been very impressed with Jordan Mason. I think he's gonna shred this defense apart. Like this is a Bengals defense that's not good. Like they're not good. Forget how many yards they've allowed this year. They're just not good. Um, and I think they're going to lean on the run. Minnesota has a good defense here. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to play with a lead. Like for me, like there's so many boxes being checked off, right? Like just so many boxes. The price is incredible. You know the usage is going to be there. Um, he's minus on the touchdown. Like when you look at his anytime touchdown, it's I think it's minus 145 on DK. Like dude, like it's going to be a pretty good day for Mason, in my opinion. And I agree with you. He should be a staple of every single lineup you're doing this weekend, regardless of, game and whatnot, and regardless of ownership, right? Like, I feel like he's going to be chalked for a reason. So I'm with you. Like, for me, this is why it's difficult to pivot too far out, because you have 3 guys at the top that are in smash spots, and then you have Mason smash spot. So it's very difficult to pivot elsewhere. Only reason to do it this week, in my opinion, is to get contrarian with ownership. Like that's the reason. And then you're gonna have to hope that one of those guys outproduces Mason. Like that's what you're really hoping for, man. And that's tough. That's a tough bet for me, man. Um, so I'm with you, man. I feel like he's a strong ass play this week. Anyone else here that you want to talk about that you like, that you're interested in this week?
The only other guy that is interesting that I think is going to take over the backfield is Quinshon Judkins. First game back, didn't even practice, barely even got on the field in preseason or training camp. 13 touches, and he looked fucking phenomenal running the ball. 6.1 yards per carry. That's why they drafted him. He is at RB1 right now for Cleveland. I love Dylan Sampson. I loved him at Tennessee last year, but Judkins is just a playmaker where he was great at Ole Miss. He was great at Ohio State. Just an absolute animal. And at 5K, if you need a cheaper play as a flex, 1,000%, Quinshon Judkins. It's not a great matchup because the Packers have been good against the run. They're only allowing 39 rushing yards per game. and 28 receiving yards. So it is a tougher matchup. But I think Judkins here, just springboarding both all those running backs, just shows how the potential that he has.
This is why I was telling everyone to cut Dylan Sampson or sell him. Like, don't hold on to that guy. Forget Sampson, guys. Jacobs was going to take over. But this, I also see Jerome Ford. And by the way, you mentioned this. Like, he had 13 opportunities. Like, he only played 19 snaps. Like, that's insane. Like, pretty much whenever he was on the football field, they gave him the football. I thought that was pretty interesting stat there. I can't do it this week. I looked at this Packers defense and I said, fuck that, never again. I'm not going to play anyone against them right now. They just look too damn good. Um, but I get it. 5K and the usage in the role is going to, I think, increase as well. I will say this because I've been asked about this. I'm not going to chase Stevenson's usage and production from last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know he's 5,300, but Ramondre Stevenson, like in week one, it was more of a timeshare. Like I still view this as a very like, shaky situation out of his backfield. Any thoughts on Stevenson? Because I have been asked about him. I'm just not going there.
No, I'm not going there.
All right. We ready to jump to the receiver position?
Yes.
All right. Let's dive into it. We got some heavy hitters on this slate, and we have five guys over 7K this week. Nico Collins, 7,300. Justin Jefferson, 7,500. Nakua, 7,700. CeeDee Lamb, 8K. Jamar Chase, 8,100. You said you were going to play Justin Jefferson. Talk to me about him and then anyone else in this range that you like.
So the wide receiver position has been extremely difficult for me because there's not a ton of guys that really stand out. This is before we got on. This is why this slate is really weird to me because I don't. There's no one I love except for one player. The only guy that I really love here, and we'll touch on him when we get to the 6K range. But when we look at the expensive guys, I think CD is going to get a ton of ownership. I think he's going to be over 25%. I think Puka in a tough matchup is going to get some just because of how good he's been. But the guy I just mentioned, it's kind of like a cop out, but $7,500 Justin Jefferson. We really haven't seen JJ McCarthy be able to stretch the field. He's shown flashes. JJ Justin Jefferson has been open a lot, and JJ just continues to miss him. And I do think Carson Wentz will be able to exploit this defense, and we'll see the breakout game from Jefferson this week. I do firmly, firmly believe it. So for me, I think Jefferson's going to end up being a core play for me. I don't know 100% yet because I haven't finished my article. But in that 7K range from Nico at 73 to 81, I'm going to put Jefferson number one, CD two, and then maybe I would go Jamar Chase as three.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting range, right? Because I do think that there's a couple guys in good spots. I love CeeDee Lamb here. I mentioned Dak Prescott as a guy I think is a viable option at the quarterback position. I love CeeDee Lamb in this matchup. I think CeeDee Lamb probably the one that pops the most for me from this group. I just like what I've seen. He's someone that's is going to get the volume. I mentioned the Bears, secondary dealing with injuries there. So I do think that this is a good spot for him. I don't know if I'm going to get to him. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to him this week. Um, I like Justin Jefferson as well in this range. I feel like this is one of those weeks where people might be hesitant to roster him and everyone's going to be on Mason. So I feel like this is a good way to, like you said, like kind of stack the three-man Vikings, and you could either do it with Jefferson. I mentioned Hawkinson earlier. That's another option for me as well. And I like it, but the one that, man, I really am so interested in playing this week is Nico Collins, dude. Like, I get it, man. Like, it hasn't been a great start to the season for this offense. And we didn't talk about CJ Stroud. He just missed a cut for me. And Nico Collins didn't look good last week. 3 catches, 52 yards, a touchdown, 9 targets. Like, yeah, he got you there. If you played him, he got you there. He got there, but it wasn't a great performance. But man, he has absolutely crushed the Jaguars in the last 3 weeks. So you go back 2023, 7 catches, 104 yards, a touchdown. That was November. Then the 2 games last season, we had 12 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown in one game, 8 catches and 119 yards in another game. If they're gonna get going, man, the Jaguars defense is not one you shine away from. If there's a week that this passing game gets going, it's this week. I think Houston's issue is the offensive line. I think that's going to continue to be a big issue for them, and maybe this is the week where the passing game comes into fruition. And is he a core play for me? No. But do I think he's a very strong GPP play? Yes. I don't see many people on him. I don't see anyone talking about him. And this is just a matchup he's done well in. So I like going after these kind of players where there's recency bias with them. And I think he's one of those players that can really break the slate this weekend, if we're being honest. So GPP play for me. I get the Nakua play for whoever wants to go there. I'm not going there myself. And man, I'm never gonna talk anyone out of Jamar Chase, dude. But the numbers are the numbers. Like without Burrow, like he has struggled. I still think he's gonna get volume, but I'm not enamored with the matchup. I think he's the most well, I don't think. I know he's the most expensive receiver on the slate. So it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, I don't want to go there this week, but I'm not going to talk anyone out of going there. All right, let's look at sub 7K. We'll go from 6K to 7K. You said you have someone in this range that you're interested in the 6 to 7K range. So talk to me about this player.
JSN. I love the opportunities he's getting. Great matchup against New Orleans. 10 targets in week 2, 13 in week 1. He's just been consistent. Just consistency with Sam Darnold. We mentioned this before week 1. Darnold locks into one guy and just continues to pepper him with opportunities. In a tough matchup against Pittsburgh last week, over 100 yards, didn't get in the end zone, but I mean, he has really shown that wide receiver one. I do think he gets the end zone this week. And at 6,500, man, it's just a absolute great spot, great price tag for a guy that's his target share is what, 43%, 45% this year. I don't know where you can find that at that price tag.
No, man, I wrote about it in the recap article, and I wrote about it, and I talked about it on the podcast this earlier this week with Bob Harris there that we posted on Tuesday. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. We recapped the entire week too. He's truly embracing that wide out, right? Like roll like lining up outside instead of in the slot, like out wide. Like he has been nothing but consistent so far to start the season. Safe floor over 100 receiving yards in each of his first 2 games. That's here to stay. You mentioned it. The target share that he has, it's an insane number there. And I don't think that's going anywhere, dude. Like we've talked about this, he locks into his receivers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he locks into his receivers. And we're seeing it here with JSN, man. I agree with you. I think he's a very strong play. I feel like that's where you kind of want to start at the receiver position if you're not starting at the high price. If you kind of go with a couple of these guys here in this range, and you kind of go balance there. I think that's a really good way to go there. So I'm with you in this range as well. I mean, look, I'm Igbuka. People, I see that people are talking about him, and he's off to a really good start this season. I'm not crazy about the matchup here this week, but any thoughts on him? Because he does pop, and I've seen a lot of people talk about him. So, and I'm looking at ownership, and it looks like he's kind of getting some attention. So, kind of wanted to talk about him here.
Yeah, the only issue that worries me is he's missed 2 practices with that hip and groin issue, so he was out on Thursday. Sure, he'll end up playing, just probably minor aches and pains here, but yeah, I think it's a tougher matchup. And again, I mentioned this is going to be probably a blowout, and I do think it's going to be blown out on the passing side. So at 6,300, I completely get it against the Jets.
Yeah, the only player upwards of 6K outside of JSN, in that 6 to 7K range that I'm a little bit interested in is Deebo Samuel. Like he's off to a pretty good start. I think he's a very dynamic player. I think he's going to be utilized as a runner as well this week. And then you and I both agree that Jalen Daniels is probably not going to suit up, which I think is going to create more rushing opportunities for Deebo Samuel, especially inside the 20-yard line. So there's more touchdown potential there. I think he's a GPP play because I don't really trust the quarterback situation there behind Jalen Daniels all that much. But I do think that, he's going to get some opportunities here. But not someone I'm overly crazy about here. Let's talk about some 6K below, some players below that 6K range. And I think there's a couple of guys here that we can really discuss. Chris, you mentioned Odunze at 5,300. The fact that he's 5,300 is mind-boggling to me still, right? Like I feel like he should be in that 6 to 65K range or $6,500 range already. I think he's a great value play. I'm in. I think Moore's going to get like you mentioned, he's going to get digs on there on the outside. So I'm in on Odunze here. I think he's inserted himself as the number one receiver in Chicago this season, and I think that's here to stay. I don't think that's going anywhere. Talk to me about him and then any other receivers in this 5 to 6K range that you're interested in.
Yeah, 20 targets over the first two games. If you look what Dallas has done, you take dating back to last year over the last nine, they ranked dead last in the league, giving up 185.3 receiving yards per game over that time, 1.4 receiving touchdowns, a wide receiver, again dead last. So I do like the spot in games so far this year. Dallas has get up 226 and a half receiving yards per game, 47.7 fantasy points per game to wide receivers. I know that's inflated because of the game that they played last week with what Malik Neighbors did. But again, you've seen guys, young receivers, tear up this defense. So Roma Dunze fits that mold. Again, he is that mismatch at the slot. They move him around in different spots in this offense. At 5,300, I don't know how you don't play this guy.
Yeah, I think he's a strong play. I think he's a good play in every format. The volume's there. He has a touchdown in every game so far. I think he's just a good play, and he's too cheap for what he brings to the table. So I'm in on him. I like DK Metcalf in tournaments, dude. I really do like DK Metcalf in tournaments. I feel like he hasn't had that huge game just yet. I feel like this could be that week that he does it. Like the Patriots right now, they've given up the second most receiving yards per game to receivers. They've given up two receiving touchdowns. They're giving up a 74% catch rate, 15.1 yards per reception. Like DK Metcalf is a problem, like for any defense, right? Like the only thing here that's going to stop them is if they get out to a massive lead and they, kind of abandon the pass.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be the case. I truly don't think that's going to be the case. I'm in here. I think he's a really strong GPP option. I don't think anybody's going to be on him. And at sub 6K, man, you're getting yourself a 100 plus yard, two touchdown upside player. Like that's the kind of upside he possesses. So I'm very interested in him here. Um, eh, I know you don't like Terry McLaurin, right? And I know it's been a slow start to the season. The matchup here is pretty solid. Is there Do you think this is a week where he gets out of it, snaps out of it, or given the fact that what is it, Marcus Mariota under center, he's just completely fucked this week?
So if you're going to go to a 2% guy, I'm going the other side of the game with Jacoby Myers.
There you go.
I'm not going to play Terry McLaurin with Mariota behind center. Jacoby Myers is always that 2% low owned dog that gets 12 targets last week, only caught 50% of it, so he wasn't efficient, but 10 targets in week one. He goes under the radar every single week, and his price tag never changes. Ever they skip over this dude every week. If you look at last year, he hit 6K once in all those games. So he's just a target hog. I love Jacoby Myers. If you're not going to play Roma Dunze at 53, you go up to play Jacoby Myers at 56.
There you go. There you go. Jacoby Myers, 56. I'm gonna play. I think I'm gonna be playing a couple players in this range, man. Like if we're being honest. One guy that's right on that 5K, like smacking that 5K, is Juwan Jennings.
Yep.
I think he's a good, really strong play as well here. When you look at what he did last week, man, 10 targets, 89 yards, a touchdown, five receptions. Like that's kind of the production I'm expecting from him, like moving forward, right? Like he looked rusty in week one. So long as he's on the field, he's going to be a big part of the passing game there. Obviously, they don't have Kittle, that he's out. We know that obviously Ayuk is out there too. Like he's their number one receiver. Like it's not Ricky Pearsall. All right. McCaffrey, you could say, is their number one guy. Yeah, sure. But the number one wide out, the number one wide receiver, it's Juwan Jennings. Um, and Mac Jones leaned on him, dude. And whether it's Mac Jones, I know there was rumors about Brock Purdy possibly playing. I don't think he plays this week, ladies and gentlemen. He hasn't been officially ruled out, but I don't think he plays. they're going to lean on him in the passing game. So I'm in, man. He had 10 targets last week. I think he's going to get upwards of 7, 8 targets again this week, man. And he's someone that has flashed a significant ceiling. And I mean significant ceiling. Any love for our guy, Juwan Jennings?
Yeah, I mean, if he's in the lineup, absolutely at 5K with the opportunities that he had, especially going looking back at week two, 10 targets in week two. Mac Jones, I like it. I like the spot for him.
Anyone below the 5K range that you're digging? I have a couple of names here that I'm interested in this week.
The guy that there's two guys, one being Cedric Tillman in a good spot where they should throw the ball there, and number two, a guy that I mentioned last week. So I think someone asked for a 4K player, and the guy that I mentioned is Troy Franklin for Denver.
Yes.
9 targets, 8 receptions, did score the touchdown. I think he's put himself into that de facto like wide receiver two now for this Denver Broncos. Bo Nix is wide receiver in college. I think he stepped up and kind of slid in that wide receiver too. So Troy Franklin at 4K, good spot there.
Dude, I said it. He's their primary slot receiver. He's operated out of the slot. Like he's their guy. He's like top three in pretty much every receiving category for the Denver Broncos, top two in most categories, leads the way in some. Like he has inserted himself in this offense, like you said. He's carved out a very nice role. There's ties with Bo Nix there. The matchup is not great, right? Like the matchup is not great, and we were both fully aware of that. But I'm chasing the volume here. Like I am truly chasing the volume. I have him written down as well. Like he has 15 targets through his first two games, coming off that big game, there. So he's one of those guys I like as well. I truly do. I like Michael Pittman, man. I'm gonna continue riding Michael Pittman so long as he stays sub 5K. Like I am, and I know he didn't have a great week too. Um, but he caught 4 passes for 40 yards on 5 targets against the Denver Broncos, a very tough matchup, right? Like, so I don't think I'm gonna get there myself because I'm all in and locked in on Jonathan Taylor. But if you want to get contrarian or if you're looking for a cheap receiver, I think he's someone that truly stands out to me this week. Keenan Allen is another one who, dude, you're seeing vintage Keenan Allen here. Touchdown in every game. We know that Justin Herbert's trusting him. We've seen the Chargers kind of open up their passing game here. So another sub 5K receiver. And I'm giving you a couple guys because I truly think that this is a pay up at the running back spot week. And if you want one more, if you want to pay up at the receiver position with one of the elite guys, you need to kind of be in this range at the receiver position. So I am going to give you a few. Keenan Allen is another one of those guys for me. And then I got one, Chris, that's sub 4K. I got one that's sub 4K that I feel comfortable about too. It's not a
Oh my
dart. It's
goodness.
not. Let's see if you find him. He's in there. He's in there. He has 13 targets to start the season. 13
Is
start,
it
and he
is it the
scored last week. And he
kid
scored.
from Stanford, A. Manor?
Yes, sir. That is him. I like that kid a lot, by the way. I like that kid a lot. Like, I think he's talented. I think he kind of went overlooked in this year's draft. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like towards the end of my process in best ball, he's someone I was like hammering late in the freaking draft. Like I was hammering the draft, but in late in all my drafts there.
Yeah.
Off to a pretty solid start. I think clear cut number two guy here on this offense without question. He's 3,700, man, and 13 targets to the first two games. I'm in. I'm in this week. 3,700, I think, gives you so much flexibility. You know, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good value play there. So I feel good about him in any format, if we're being honest. It is a riskier cash game play for sure, without question. And I always tell everyone, go and refer to Jeff's cash game breakdown for the cash game plays. And look at his guys and the value guys he's doing. But for me, man, I think there's a safe floor here, pretty strong roll. A game where I expect the Tennessee Titans to be chasing points here. So I like A.O. Maynor. I'm in. Anyone else here, Chris?
Nope. Nope.
All right, let's dive into the tight end position like we always do. And we have both Brock Bowers and Trey McBride on this slate, Chris. Are you going to end up rostering any of these guys at upwards of 5K this week?
I don't think I'm going to go over 4K.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna talk anyone off of these guys, but I'm trying to be frugal. I'm trying to spend I'm trying to spend elsewhere. I'm trying to save money at the tight end position. I'm trying to save money at the quarterback position. So I can't do it. If I find means, I will. But right now, all of my financial my budget is all allocated at the running back position. The majority of it is at least. So I'm with you. If I were to play any of the two, I think it'll be Bowers, right? If I'm playing any of these two. But you can't go wrong with either. So you said you're not spending more than 4K. Talk to me about where you're at the tight end position.
Going back to my guy, Juwan Jennings. Juwan, I do it every time. Juwan Johnson.
Well,
Um,
you want to play Juwan Jennings too. That's not
I
that's
know,
that's no
I
secret.
know.
That's no secret.
If you look at how efficient Spencer Rattler has been so far this year, we can't ignore the fact that no interceptions, not turning the ball over. He has a high QBR, targeting Johnson 13 times. He's gone over 49 yards or more in both games. Great matchup against a team that has given up some 8 receptions, 54 yards, a touchdown, two tight ends, also giving up 20.4 fantasy points per game. That's this season. That's ranked 32nd in the league. At 3,900, I mean, there's unlimited upside. He could have even had a bigger game in week one had he caught that touchdown. And again, in last week, he dropped another one. Did get in the end zone, but I do think that the upside is untapped here for Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, you've been calling him every week, dude. You gotta call it like it is, right? You've been calling him every week, and he's been delivering every single week. I like that call. I think he's gonna be super chalk, and that's okay. But he's just too cheap for his current role in this offense. Um, a game I again we expect the Saints to be playing catch up in a lot of these games, right? Like so, um, Spencer Rattler. Oh my God, I can't believe it. He's looked pretty solid, right? Like it's incredible there. But yeah, look, I agree with you, man. He's in the player pool for me as well. I like Jake Ferguson at 4K on the nose as well. Like he is coming off a very high volume week where he had 12 targets. He's now has what 19 or I'm sorry, 18, not 19, 18 targets through the first 2 weeks. Again, I'm gonna target Chicago here. With Ferguson at 4K, so I like him. I've been alluding to Hawkinson, and so I wanna point something out. Look, I get the fact that he has not been great. I'm not. It's obviously I'm not a moron. I see it, right? But I do think that if you look at it, he's played in 79% of the offensive snaps. He has a 17% target share. So like the opportunities have been there for what they've done. They haven't played good offense. Like they have what 1.5 good quarters of football offensively this year, like through the air. That's what they have. So I think this is a get right spot for this offense because it's a good matchup. And again, you have a veteran quarterback under center for you this week. And so I feel like Hawkins is going to bounce back here. Like I truly do. So for me, he's someone that I'm interested in this week. I look at it, his price tag, and I look at the talent, and I'm saying, dude, you cannot have a talent like him at tight end so cheap. So GPP obviously because there is a volatile floor, but I like him here quite a bit. I know he's your guy in Minnesota. There, any thoughts on him this week?
Yeah, I like the price tag at 3,800. Just the opportunities haven't been there. Maybe that's just because of McCarthy's inability to really kind of escape the pressure. The offensive line's been absolutely awful too.
They are.
I think for me to get behind Hawkinson, I got to see a couple games. I don't know if I trust it. He hasn't been great like over the last say 16 games since he's come back from that knee injury.
I mean, trust is not the word I would use to identify what I have for Hawkins. There's no trust there. It's just a matter of I look at a cheap guy in a great matchup with a quarterback situation that's changed. Wentz has leaned on the tight end often. I was looking through because I have spreadsheet too, but I couldn't find it. But I know I think if I go back to 2022, that I would have to see if I have those numbers. But I I'll tell you this, he he is someone that has targeted the tight end position often. throughout his career. And again, I'm in this week on him. So yeah, so I looked at it. All right, so there you go. I was able to pull it up. So this is old data. So this is back to 2022. All right. Going into the 2023 season. Obviously, since then, he's had very sporadic roles and very, hasn't been a starting quarterback for a long time or whatnot. But at that point, he had targeted it in the tight end position throughout his career in 31.19% of his targets, like of his pass attempts. Like he's going to lean on the tight end position. I think Hawkinson's a super sneaky GPP play. Again, not recommending him in cash. But I was looking for those numbers, like that spreadsheet for at least the last 15 minutes. I was able to find it. It is an old spreadsheet, but I was able to find it there. Um, Another tight end here that I want to talk about is Kyle Pitts. He he's been okay. Like it's obviously not great. He's been okay. Good matchup here against Carolina. Again, if you're trying to get different, I don't think many people are going to be playing the running back and tight end in the same big team. If you're trying to get different in tournaments, I think Pitts is in a good spot here. Carolina is not good against tight ends. I think he can definitely have a big game here. So he's another one in that sub 4K range. Any thoughts on him, Chris? I know you're not a big Pitts guy, but any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he looked good last week against Minnesota. Um, Efficient on the four targets. I'm sorry, the five targets that he saw. I never really get behind. If I'm gonna go play 3,900, I'm gonna play Johnson at 3,900. I think that's more so. If I'm gonna be real, it's a price tag thing for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like you look at it, Johnson's the better play. I pivot if you pivot in GPPs, that's a good pivot there for me. Um, Anyone else here? Like I'm okay with going back to Hunter Henry. I know he let us down last week.
Yeah.
I always view him as a play at that range, and I know that the floor is not overly stable. But anyone else in this range? I do have a sub 3K guy that I'm gonna say if you really want to go dumpster diving that I'm recommending this week. But anyone else? You're trying to
Not
guess who
anybody.
that is, aren't you?
Yeah. What? I don't really
You
have
called
anybody
him last
else.
week. You called him last week.
Strange.
No, West Coast. Jake. His name is Jake Tongs, baby. You talked about
Oh
him last week.
yeah, Tongas. Yeah.
You talked about him last
Of
week,
course, it
dude.
was Farrell that scored too, but Tongas. Yeah.
He okay, but it's okay because he was on the field like and he was
A lot. Yeah.
yeah, he was on the field. He ran 31 receiving routes, which was, I think, the fourth most on the team. He had a 13% target share. Not great, but 2,900, man. Like, if you're really dumpster diving, there you go. I'm staying in that 35 to 4K range pretty much myself this week. I think that's where it's at. But again, he's someone that you can consider. I know Tyler Warren is dinged up, but it looks like he's gonna be able to play this week. He's been great for us, dude. I'll tell you this: if you want to continue riding that hot hand, do it. I'm not going to talk you out of it. Any thoughts on him before we jump to defenses?
Yeah.
uh,
I'm not. No, I'm telling you right now, I'm probably gonna be all in and I'm gonna send you what I have for my lineup because I was kind of tinkering a little bit, but I think I'm gonna be all in on Johnson. I can't go away from my guy. Plus, I follow him on TikTok, so I like my guy.
there you go. There you go. Give Chris, give Juwan Johnson, give myself a follow on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. All
Yes,
right.
yes.
Uh,
The muck walks and the talks. I like it.
Yeah, dude. Bro, it's funny. You know why? Because I actually posted three bets yesterday in Discord, and the only one I decided to fucking talk about on my ruck yesterday was the only one that didn't hit. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, come on, you gotta do better than that. So I was a little bummed out about that, but it happens. That's part of it. Defenses, Chris. Well, that's it, right? You don't have anything else tight end, right?
No, no.
All right, defenses, Chris. Let's chat defenses here and let's do what we always do. You go all the way to the bottom and you start working your way up.
I got a cheap
And
one.
me too.
I got a real cheap
Under
one.
25?
Hell yeah.
Yep. Let's go, baby. Are we talking about Sin City here? Sin City?
Hell yeah. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, baby.
Dude, I agree with you.
2,300? Are you shitting me against Marcus Mariota?
Yeah, I'm in.
And
Like,
no run game. I don't trust Bill at all.
yeah, I'm not running. Ladies and gentlemen, my defense of the week, Las Vegas Raiders. We could wrap up the show here. We're done.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
I feel like it's too easy though.
Yeah, I do think it's too easy. We're being 100% honest with you. But the thing is, like, if you don't stop there, this is my problem, right? Because I thought this through, right? Because I was like, yeah, we could just on the show we say, all right, Raiders, boom, all right. But let's say you don't want to stop there, right? Let's say you have extra money. I truly don't see anything, right, until I start going all the way up, and I end up kind of in that Minnesota range. Like, and that's a
Yeah.
big difference. You're talking about what, a full 1K
Yeah.
or more, like
Yeah.
1100. I I don't feel overly confident about Dallas against Chicago after I saw the Giants fucking shred them up. Um, there aren't many spots, man. There aren't many spots, and I don't like to pay for defense. So I'm sorry that we're of no service to you when it comes to defenses, but it's Raiders or bust for me right now, Chris.
Yeah.
It truly is. And then I'll tell you what my model likes. They like the Colts, they like Seattle, but these are defenses above 3K. It likes the Bengals, no fucking way for me. And it likes Pittsburgh, like no. I'm going to the Raiders, Chris. Anyone else that you might consider here?
No, it was pretty simple for me, especially with if I think we know that Mariota's going to be in. It was too easy just to lock them in. Those are my two locks, like Juwan Johnson, Vegas, and move on. It's that simple.
Yep. All right. That was easy. Let's talk some survivor picks here. I think a lot of people use Buffalo on Thursday night. So
Yeah.
if you did, it was not the funnest of experiences for you, I'm pretty sure, because it was a much closer than you and I anticipated. It's much closer than I think everyone anticipated. So there was a little bit of sweating going on if you were watching those games or that game last night. Um, but for those who did not, um, play the Buffalo Bills. What are you looking at this weekend? I think it's a little dicey. I think there's some questionable games. Um, there's two other spots that I feel okay with, but not many this week. Chris, where are you at?
Yeah, so I think Tampa's the number one. I know in my survivor pool, I have Tampa this week um, as my survivor pick. If you don't want to go Tampa, I think pivoting to someone maybe like a Pittsburgh or um, Green Bay would be the only way that I would go.
Yes. I like Green Bay. That's the one that I think is, against Cleveland. And then Seattle at home against New Orleans. I like that one. Um, I think they have enough firepower to win that game. So those would be my two. It would be Seattle at home beating New
Yeah,
Orleans, and then I go with Green Bay. I like those two right there. Like we do the Circa. There we have the Circa Survivor. They're going on with several of us here for Fantasy Guru, and uh, I put obviously the Bills were my highest confident, and then I think two was Green Bay and one was Seattle. So that's kind of where I'm at this week, man. Um, all right. Let's talk some bets here this week. So I'm 1-1 on the season here on the show. 2-1 yesterday there if you were in Discord. So check those bets out. Chris, where are you at this week as far as bets are concerned?
yeah. So I'm going to take Minnesota -3 at home. I don't have any props. I'll probably have some props, some single prop bets on Saturday, Sunday during our live stream. But I do like Minnesota -3, and I like the Chicago Bears +1.5 at home.
Oh, dude, you said Chicago Bears +1.5. I can't give my bet now. I
Is
cannot
that
give.
you?
No, I was not. No, I was not. I was gonna go the other way. I don't want to. I don't want to go against you, bro. I
Yeah,
do
I
now.
like
Uh,
I like the Bears this week.
you like the Bears this week?
Yeah,
All
they
right.
have to win. They have to win this week.
I know they do. I know they have to win.
Take the over then. If you don't like the 1.5, take the over.
I'll go ahead. Let me pull it up as we speak because I had another one that I wanted to but let me pull it up and make sure it hasn't moved. But so you like the Bears. I'm gonna go. All right, so I'm gonna go on the other, but I'm not gonna go against you. I promise I'm not gonna go against you here. All right, we're gonna go with passing props. Let me see what we got. Dak Prescott. I'm gonna go with the alternate. What's his passing prop at? 264. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Over 264 yards for Dak Prescott this week. That's the prop. I'm gonna go. So this is that's gonna be the one for the week. Over 264 passing yards for Dak. That's the prop there. I will say this, and I said this earlier, and this is a high risk, high reward payoff here. I truly do like the 2 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor prop. That's not the one for this show because that is a high risk one, right? But I think that's a good one this week. You're getting good odds, and I think it's a matter of time before he gets on that board. And I think he could do it twice this weekend against Tennessee. Chris, any final thoughts here on this slate on this week? And just let everyone know where they can find your work and what you got cooking.
Yep. No, I have nothing else going. Probably more on Sunday, but I have the MLB cheat sheet tonight. We have the college football live stream at 9 p.m. We have the college football main slate tomorrow on the night slate, and then of course my GPP article will be up tomorrow night. And then of course our time change for Sunday.
Our time has changed for Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going live every Sunday instead of 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to go live noon Eastern. We're going to be kicking off that show at 12, and we're going to go all the way through kickoff. We'll have all of the inactives and actives by the time we get on that show. So that's going to be helpful for a lot of us. And you can find, of course, all of my work there at fantasyguru.com as well. Obviously we got a ton of content coming out. We still got the cash game breakdown that goes on tonight. To this afternoon, we got the live stream that goes on 7 p.m. Eastern. Tyler Beaker there, the host. I will be on with him this evening. We'll be breaking down this late, him and I. So make sure you're tuning in there. That's a live stream, 7 o'clock Eastern there. Tons of content, like I said, still on that site. And of course, you can find me on the Twitter machine at Armando_Marsal, as well as on Instagram threads and TikTok at Mind Marsal. Remember, guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you like, follow, rate, review the podcast wherever it is you are consuming it. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. For the great Chris Rose, I am Armando Marsal. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's journey through the mind of Marsal. Until next time.